That's correct.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? We're live. Sorry there was no song there at the beginning. Got a little behind on the time there. How's it going? Live stream chat room, where are you at? Let's get a song of the day for our host to sing.
I got one just in case they don't come up with one.
Excellent. Let's hope
Always prepare.
Let's hope they come up with one. I'm looking for something maybe after 1970.
Oh, no. Come on now. Let's not stretch. Let's not stretch things here, D.
Just trying to switch it up here, trying to make us a little more current here on the Ben Joravsky Show. You know what I mean?
1979 wasn't that long ago.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm singing songs from the 1820s.
Yeah, I don't want Mr. Postman every day as the song of the day. You know what I mean?
Mr. Postman.
Da-da-dee. I think you're singing Mr. Sandman.
Yeah, Mr. Postman. Take a letter, Mr. Postman. Oh, yeah. Boo, boo, boo.
All right.
That wasn't my song of the day.
No, I know it's not. We're waiting here on the live stream chat room. Holler if you can hear us, by the way, just to make sure we're good. I got all the levels up before we get going. A cannabis conversation today. Yeah. If you're a pothead, boy, tune in for that one, huh? Maybe get some tips. That'd be cool. Mm-hmm. Let's see. All right. Looks like we don't. Wait, hold on. Okay. We're going with your song of the day because we got to get the show rolling here. Benny J, give us a song of the day, please, for Thursday.
All right. This is Jerry Butler.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I got to read the sponsors. Your Ben Joravsky Show. 4. So you got some time here, live stream audience.
I got a song, though. I got a song.
All right. That's pretty good. Oh, wait. I got to make sure my phone's muted there. All right. Boy. Your Ben Joravsky Show for Thursday, May 14th is just moments away. I can't believe I almost forgot this. But before we do this, let's thank the following unions for jumping on board and sponsoring our program. Unions like the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Local 126 and District 8. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9 are sponsors, as well as the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150. Hey, unions. Thanks. We appreciate that. Also, today's program is brought to you by our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. Ben, give us your song of the day, please.
All right. This is my rendition of Jerry Butler's great hit from 1968, one of Dennis's favorite years.
How did you know?
Hey, Mr. Dream Merchant. I was listening to Jerry Butler last night while I was washing the dishes. Oh, I love Jerry Butler. I was singing along to every song. Come on, D.
You were actually trying to sing there on that song.
Hey, Mr. Dream Merchant. Everybody. And tomorrow I'll do Dusty Springfield's version of the same song, D.
Oh, my God. We got Ryan Seacrest on the phone. You're going to Hollywood. The Ben Joravsky Show starts now.
Seacrest.
It is Thursday, May 14th, and live from Ben's attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, get the bong out. It's another cannabis conversation with Nobert, Pickett, and Lisa Solomon. And now your host, put the bong away.
Wait a minute, what a mixed message. Take the bong out, put it away. What am I supposed to do?
Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Trump's Life is Sacred Thursday. And here's why. For a moment there, D, I wasn't sure if today was Thursday or Wednesday. It was that pause.
I didn't know if it was the 13th or the 14th. I'm right there with you.
Whoa, I've been in this attic for so long, I'm losing track of time.
I think I'm getting a little burnt out, man, up in the attic, man. We may need to take a break soon.
You know, I tell you what, the MAGA hat wearers are starting to make sense. Liberty. Well, we'll get to them. Liberty. Anyway, just want to say I had a great meeting last night, a Zoom meeting. D, you would love it. You did
Zoom. It without me. Way to go! Well, I'm happy for you.
No, that's not completely true. It was a Zoom meeting that the Democrats on the Northwest side, State Senator Rob Markwick set it up, and it was obviously a virtual meeting, but because they're staying at home, they're abiding by all the rules and regulations as laid down by Mayor Lightfoot and Governor Pritzker. But D, you helped me. You told me you can do this, Ben. You should have seen him yesterday. You can do this, Ben. I know you can do this, all right? And my wife held my hand. You can do this. So we figured it out. Somehow or other, I hooked in. It was a great time. We discussed politics. But then my screen, I don't know, it died in the middle of it. Typical me. Something went wrong. My screen, I don't know if I was still being seen by the other people, but I couldn't
Sounds
see
stressful.
them.
I only hold your hand from noon to like 3:30, 4 o'clock. Then I go home.
Well, actually, that's not always true. Okay, let's let's explain that. Generally, we do shows afterwards. Yesterday, we had Craig Hodges scheduled, and then somehow or other, he just disappeared on us. I don't know where he was. He swears, folks, that he'll be here today. We'll give him another chance, right, D?
Yeah, sorry about that. I know we had teased that. I know Jay Marie was looking forward to that.
I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I'm going with the time zone difference. He's in California. We scheduled 3:30. His 3:30 was our 5:30. You know what I mean?
That sounds good enough. Anyway, he said he's going to do it today, so we'll see. All right, we'll see if it comes through. But anyway, so that's why you left yesterday a little early. Usually you're here till 5:30. And then you sit around. Sometimes you have a beer. Oh, I'm getting away real secrets here. Yeah. So anyway, back to last night's meeting. Delightful meeting. I want to thank Rob Markwick. And they were asking me my political take on things. And, I was saying what you all know. Yeah, I was for Bernie. And, I will vote for Joe Biden because I think Donald Trump is a disaster and the greatest threat this country has faced in the 21st century, definitely. But it's a slow, evolution to joining the Biden bandwagon. Dee knows that every day I'm like, oh, Biden. I'm always complaining about Biden. And yet, it's a slow. I got the feeling that a lot of the Democrats on the northwest side of Chicago, D, want me to accelerate a little bit. Hurry up. Drink that Kool-Aid. Hold on. Let me see if it works. I have some of this Kool-Aid right here. Not quite there yet, folks, but I'm almost there. Okay, well, not even almost there. I'm working my way.
That was water.
Tasted like Kool-Aid. I'm working my way toward the Biden Kool-Aid. Kind of missing Bernie, but whatever. I'll work through it. By the way, Bernie supports Biden, right? How come if Bernie supports Biden, I'm having such trouble?
And that, I was saying, by the way, the Biden flavor is like water.
Yeah,
very bland.
It's very bland.
Not that exciting.
That's very good. That's good. I should have thought of that. God damn. Anyway, so meanwhile, I was having this delightful meeting with the Democrats, our Zoom meeting with the Democrats of the Northwest Side.
Did you tell them all your feelings of Zoom, by the way?
Yes, I shared that. Not on the Zoom thing.
Oh, you should have done it on the Zoom thing.
I mean, because, when you're in a Zoom thing, you're like, yeah, man, I'm, really zooming this thing, man. Whoa. Who's zooming who? That's an Aretha Franklin song. She was way ahead of her time. That was, by the way, the 80s, D. That was post-79, all right?
She's a time traveler. Thought she was singing about Zoom.
Aretha Franklin, Who's Zooming Whom? I think it was from 1983. Don't quote me on that. So anyway, meanwhile,
nobody does.
While the Democrats on the Northwest Side were convening to discuss the events of the day, the Republicans were mounting a counterattack. They're becoming bolder and bolder as certain pandemic patterns emerge. The number one pattern, of course, is that the economy is tanking. So that means Donald Trump's reelection is in trouble. The Republicans may even lose the Senate. And it really looks like they won't take back the House, and they're getting a little panicky, folks. And I could tell because I'm privy to all their little fundraising emails, and I get about 100 of them a day from everyone from Karl Rove to Lara Trump. I think that's her name, Donald Trump's daughter. Donald Trump's son sends them. So every now and then I get it from Donald Trump. Newt Gingrich weighs in. They're panicking. We could lose the Senate. Our friend Mitch McConnell may lose the Senate. Chuck Schumer's going to take over with his evil liberal left. No, left. It's left, like far left.
That little kid Barron sending you emails.
Barron does not send
sending
emails.
You his favorite Pokemon characters.
No, they leave Barron out. And curiously enough, Trump's wife never participates in any of this. And Ivanka never does. And I believe Jared Kushner ever does, but they may get desperate enough where they drag them. Barron writes into me, I really support my dad. He's in trouble.
Pokemon!
So anyway, so Trump's re-election is in trouble. They may lose the Senate. They may not take back the House. So they're getting really desperate.
Very desperate.
And so they're trying to figure things out now here. And they're really worried that Joe Biden will win, that Nancy Pelosi will hold on to the House, and the Democrats will take the Senate. And then the Democrats will be able to do to the Republicans what the Republicans have been doing to Democrats for the last 3 years, which is shoving shit down their mouth that they don't want. Uh-oh, did I swear, D?
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry, I got carried away with that. Sorry, I apologize to everybody. But that's what they do. Here, open up your mouth. I'm shoveling this in, and if you don't like it, shut up. That's been the Republican attitude since they took everything in 2016. Yeah, they didn't even have, Trump didn't even win the popular vote. He lost the popular, but he acts like he has this huge mandate. So that's how the Republicans go. And they're a little nervous that the Democrats will do that to them. Although, let me just say this, Republicans. I've been a Democrat my whole life. You got nothing to worry about with this crew. How can we accommodate you? We're Democrats. We believe in bipartisanship that doesn't exist. Let us sell our souls and dilute our values to win you over, even though we will never win you over. Wait, D, wasn't I supposed to be drinking the Kool-Aid and jumping aboard the Biden bandwagon?
Yeah.
It's my problem. Okay. Anyway, so that's why the Republicans are in a tizzy, and they're very upset. And they're very concerned that the pandemic and the stay-at-home orders will destroy the economy and take away Trump's most valuable selling point as he heads into the re-election. And they're really worried they're going to lose. And so they're trying to come up with a way to save Trump's political life. But they got to be careful about this. Because on one hand, if they say the pandemic is a hoax, in the face of all the contrary evidence that we can see, or if they say the scientists are wrong, even though the scientists are far more learned than your average MAGA hat wearer, or if they say Donald Trump's reelection is more important than thousands of lives, they'll look bad. It's not really a good selling point, we have thousands of people whose lives are a threat versus the one political life of Donald Trump. That's like a balance. Which one? Well, I think I'm going to go with Trump. Now, that doesn't look good. So what are they going to do? And so you can almost see their little MAGA hat brains whirring around in the head, D. Here's the sound they make. Which is sort of like Trump on the windmill. You ever notice that? I swear to God, Trump's stealing half of his stuff from me. I was doing stupid stuff long before Donald Trump, right, D? He's been listening to me for a long time. Yeah, he was doing stupid stuff before Trump. That's a MAGA hat brain going around and around as they really try to figure this one out. What's our solution here? We got thousands of lives on one hand, one political life on the other hand. We got to figure out a way where Donald Trump's life is worth more than thousands and thousands of real lives. His political, metaphorical life, not his real life. Thousands of people dying, Donald Trump's political career dying. Which is worse? We got to figure a way out. And they think about this, D, and they go, there's their little brain going around. We need a reason to oppose the stay-at-home order. A reason other than just because we want to elect Donald Trump. And then all of a sudden, bing, they figured out, their little brains light up. MAGA hat brains everywhere. I figured it out. I could just see some call coming in. I figured it out, boss. Here's the message. All right, what's the message? Liberty. We will proclaim a need for greater liberty, economic liberty. We have the right to go to work. What was it? Remember that song? Hey, here's a song from the 1990s. The Right to Party.
Okay.
Remember that song?
The Right to Party?
Yeah. Come on, some of my
it's the Beastie Boys. Fight for your right to party.
See?
Not the right to party.
Oh, excuse me. It was close enough. Here, sing a few verses of Mr. Dream Merchant. Yeah, let's see you do that.
No.
Like, that was 1968, Ben. So they're fight for the right for economic liberty. That's it. So it's not that they're standing up to defy the Pritzkers and the Lori Lightfoots and the Tony Evers and the Andrew Cuomo's of the world, the Democrats who are urging people to stay at home. No. They're fighting for a greater liberty, and that's the right, their right to go out and make a living, their freedom. No government can tell them they can't go to work, even if their life's at stake. It's a constitutionally guaranteed right to be able to go to work, and that is what they're proclaiming. And so far, yesterday, while I was meeting with the good Democrats of the Northwest side, the news broke that 4 Supreme Court justices in Wisconsin who ruled against Tony Evers, the Democratic governor of Wisconsin, and his stay-at-home order. They said he exceeded his authority. And meanwhile, and that prompted the Tavern League of Wisconsin, I guess this is Association of Tavern Owners, to like send out this message. Yeah, man, we're open immediately. You can open bars and taverns in Wisconsin. Whoop, throw out the doors. Beers on Dennis.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a bar or tavern in Wisconsin, by the way, D?
Yeah, I went to a wedding reception at one. That was like the one time I went.
Yeah, it's a whole different culture than the wedding. I remember the first time I went to a bar in Wisconsin, I was 17 years old. I was just going to order. Well, I don't drink that much anyway.
That sounds legal.
They sold me a beer. Point special. That was the beer. They have a point, son. I'm drinking. I don't even like beer. But yeah, they have a whole different attitude about beer up in Wisconsin. All right? It's like mother's milk. Anyway, throw open the doors. We're open for business. You know. Then there was this photo while I was meeting with the good Democrats of the Northwest side. There was a story I saw in the New York Times right before I went on, which showed this militiaman. I don't know if you saw this, D. The guy with the
Michelin Man?
Militia man with their automatic rifles standing outside a nail salon, I want to say it was, somewhere in Texas. I don't know if you saw this. Yeah, they were defending the right of the nail salon operator to open her business. Or no, it wasn't a nail salon. It was a tattoo parlor. That's what it was.
Big difference.
I think it was called the Crash and Burn Tattoo Parlor. Anyway, so they had these guys with a tattoo, "We the People," it said on the arm. He had this gun. He was, "Don't try to stop us. Come on, governor. Come on, government." And they have a Republican governor, Abbott, down in Texas, and he had been listening to the scientists at first. Now he's sort of backing off. He's like, "Oh my God!" On one hand, all the MAGA hat wearers are saying, open up the government and open up the economy, and the scientists are saying, "Go slow, go slow." What do I do? And he's going with the MAGA hat crowd. So they were seeing they're very bold and upfront. They've discovered the principle that they're going to lodge their protest in. It's economic liberty. That's the principle, and that's what they're going to stand on. It's not about reelecting Donald Trump. They're not going to say that. It's economic liberty. And look, I said this last week when this topic first came up. I fully support the right of state reps like Darren Bailey and John Raffaello to go to court to challenge J.B. Pritzker's stay-at-home order. We talked about that last week. 2 state reps, Republicans, have filed separate cases to undercut the governor's authority to close down the state. I absolutely believe they have a constitutional right to assert their authority as legislators to defy the executive. I believe in checks and balance system, just like I support Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa and Raymond Lopez. Maybe your favorite alderman by now, right, D?
He's getting up there.
Yeah, you like him. Their right to challenge Lori Lightfoot here in the city council.
Sorry, Waggus Pack, don't get jealous.
Yeah, you don't talk about Scotty that much.
I know.
Did you cover up your "I love Scotty" tattoo? Just kidding. He doesn't really have a Scotty tattoo. Anyway, I support the legislators' right to defy the executive authority. I just don't always support the rights. I mean, the decisions that judges make to support them. You know, I would hope that the judges would rule differently. I always hoped the judges wasn't going to rule with Darren Bailey, or the judges in Wisconsin weren't going to rule with the Republican legislators, because there's a consequence to opening up those bars and taverns. More people would get sick. More people might die. But, you know, D, I've been having a lot of discourse with people in the MAGA hat crowd lately, and they have an answer for this. They've figured this out, and this is one of the patterns that emerged in their minds about the pandemic. Yes, more people can die from the COVID-19, but most of those people are old people, and they were going to die anyway. I've had this argument given to me, D. So, F them, all right? Liberty! And I'm like, yeah, but what about someone's grandmother who's in a senior citizen home or in a nursing home? F granny! Liberty! My liberty is what matters. And they actually are making this point, that the lives of a senior citizen doesn't matter because the senior citizen is old and on death's doorstep anyway, so that's the end of that. And what they're proclaiming is their economic liberty to run their business. Now, it's funny. I'm just going to point something out here. They're asserting a principle that they believe in, economic liberty. And they say that principle is greater than the right of a senior citizen to live. The life of a senior citizen. It's funny, they sing a different song when it comes to abortion. When I get someone like Terry Cosgrove on this show from Personal Pack, who is a big believer in a woman's right to choose, and he talks about a woman's right to her liberty to do with her body what she wants to do without having government tell her what she can do with her body. When Terry Cosgrove and other people like him assert that liberty, the MAGA hat crowd immediately comes back and goes, every life is sacred. You cannot sacrifice one life, even if it's just a tiny cell in a woman's body. That life is sacred. So it's funny. When it comes to the life of a senior citizen in a nursing home, die, granny, die! But when it comes to the cell in a woman's body, every life is sacred. See, Dems, I'm going to tell you this right now. Republicans don't really have fixed principles. I've been trying to get you to understand this. They're all tactics. And they're tactics that shift according to their needs in a political battle. They're very sophisticated about this. They're smarter than you. So many Democrats will tell me, Ben, you know, the Republicans have a good point. How many times have I heard a Democrat? I never hear a Republican say, well, Democrats have a good point. Democrats are always bending over backwards to be fair and listen to the other. Ben, you know, they really do have a good point. They don't have a good point. It's all a tactic, and they're using it against you. Remember, the only life that is sacred to a MAGA hatter is Donald Trump's political life. We got a great show. D, I cut you off guard there one more time.
Yeah.
We got a great show. Nobert Pickett will be here. We'll have a cannabis conversation, cannabis guru. And if all goes well, after that, Craig Hodges. All right? What do you think, D? What are the odds?
I think he's going to show up, please, because if he doesn't do it again, then it's going to be really bad. So it's going to be good.
Come on, Craig. I know you're going to.
Glass half full, Ben. Jesus.
Yeah, so anyway, great show ahead of us. Plenty of political talk. But before we do that, the young man from Alton, the man they call Dr. Doobie, with the news.
Hey, everyone. I'm Dennis. Let's talk about what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois on this gross Thursday afternoon. Let's begin with some Chicago news. The spring-summer season is here. Is there anything better this time of year in Chicago than a nice long walk along the lakefront? Well, this summer, thanks to this damn dirty coronavirus, you may find out. Because based on the following from the Chicago Sun-Times and the one and only Fran the Woman Spielman, the lakefront will not be open anytime soon.
That's correct.
Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot on Wednesday likened reopening Chicago to, quote, slowly turning on a dimmer, not flipping a switch, and said the leap to the city's Phase 3 plan will not allow her to reopen the lakefront. Last week, Lightfoot said people have been sending her, quote, really interesting suggestions about ways to reopen the lakefront by doing it in phases and having, quote, segmented hours for particular activities. The mayor said she would consider those ideas whenever the city meets the rigid standards that she's established to graduate to the so-called cautiously reopen phase 3 of her 5-step plan to slowly reopen the city.
Let's begin with phase 1.
JB, it's Lightfoot's plan, not yours. But during a virtual speech to the Economic Club of Chicago, Lightfoot delivered a heavy dose of bad news to Chicagoans with spring and cabin fever. Quote, unfortunately, at this point, we will not be ready to reopen our lakefront because a resurgence in cases is more than a risk. It's a very real possibility we need to be prepared for. Reopening will be like slowly turning on a dimmer, not flipping a light switch. We're talking 6 to 12 months where we will be managing to prevent the resurgent outbreaks that we've seen among vulnerable populations in Singapore, nightclubs in South Korea, or what we're seeing at this very moment in Georgia that has followed their own re-push to open. Whether or not we see that kind of resurgence in Chicago, which will force us to go back to sheltering in place, is entirely dependent on us and the actions that we take. Psychologically, if we don't do this in a smart, diligent, data-driven way, if we don't do it in a way that continues to engage important stakeholders in a dialogue, we're gonna have to take steps back. And I think that's gonna be devastating for all of us.
Is that the end of this segment?
Ben, your thoughts?
A lot to say about this one. So much to unpack here. Mayor Lori Lightfoot making that declaration, a speech yesterday. Is that correct, Dee?
Mm-hmm.
A speech yesterday. Okay, let's just go back in time a little bit, unpack this. And I'm really going to try to phrase this correctly, Dee, because anytime I'm even mildly critical of Mayor Lori Lightfoot, I'm open to so much barrage because people love her right now in the city of Chicago, particularly on the north side. And we do this show out of an attic in my house overlooking an alley on the north side of Chicago. So I'll walk out of this attic and people go, "How dare you say anything about it?" They love Lori Lightfoot on the north side of Chicago. So let me just say this. The whole issue of shutting down the lakefront emerged, when was it, Dee? It's been so long, about a month ago, was it? It was like... after one day after another like this, rainy, well, today is warm, but it was cold, rainy, dreary days in March. It was a nice day. Remember that day? Mm-hmm. It's like, I want to say it was a Tuesday, but don't quote me. It was a nice day, and suddenly Chicagoans do what Chicagoans always do when they have that first nice day in spring. They run outside, and they forget that there was a virus or a pandemic. They're like, yay, I'm happy, I'm free. That's how Chicagoans react. And I'm not a native Chicagoan like Lori Lightfoot. I moved to this city from another town. But over time, like Lori Lightfoot, I got to understand the ways of Chicagoans. And one of the things that Chicagoans do is that first nice day, they open up the windows, they kick out the doors, and they run. And a lot of them flock to the lakefront. And so really what happened was Lori Lightfoot's administration dropped the ball a little bit. They didn't look at their weather apps, right, Dee? And they didn't go, it's going to be a nice day tomorrow. Maybe we should take a preventative measure about this. And so instead what happened, they saw all these people violating stay-at-home rules, all these people violating social distance rules. And so that's when Lori Lightfoot got angry at the citizens of Chicago. And she had that press conference with pictures. Exhibit A, remember this, Dee? Exhibit A of people at the lakefront. Like we needed pictures to know. And then she was stern. And that's when this whole new image of Lori as our great protector, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, our protector, emerged. And she's even more popular now, I think, since that confrontation. But as a result, that is the line that she drew. The lakefront will be closed because you, the people of Chicago, can't be trusted to do the right thing. You will act like children, and you need to be protected. I find my inner MAGA hat libertarian emerging here, Dee. Listen, I'm with the mayor in the need to follow rules. I'm with the mayor in the need to promote social distancing. I'm with the mayor as she's standing up to try to do her best to protect the people of Chicago from themselves in some cases. But I just think she overreached on that whole lakefront thing and turned the people in Chicago into like the bad guys when really her administration kind of dropped the ball. And I think there is a solution to this, Dee. And what the most obvious solution is don't let cars into the lakefront parks. If you block access to cars, I think that will cut down tremendously the number of people who go to the lakefront park, because on nice days, lots of people drive the cars. Far fewer people are going to walk to the lakefront. So one suggestion that I throw out there. It's like kind of incremental thing that you might. I wonder if anybody sent it. Remember, she got all these ideas, Dee? I wonder if someone suggested that. She didn't note that, but I think that would be a nice suggestion.
It's a good idea. You should have sent it.
Yeah, I should have sent it. Well, I'm saying it right now, and I know she's probably listening to the show right now. So that's just one notion. By the way, it's interesting this idea that of mayors getting suggestions from people. There's part of me, the cynic in me, says, "Oh, that's bull. She never reads that." But I recall Mayor Rahm. There was some when I think it was the Sun Times that the deep dive filed a FOIA request and got a hold of his emails, and there was evidence of exchanges between Mayor Rahm and ordinary citizens of Chicago who were complaining about certain things. Usually they weren't that ordinary. They were well-clouded people who were complaining that, like, Mayor Rahm was being too generous to pensioners. And remember that one? I don't know, Mayor Rahm released that email they released that email in the FOIA where he was bragging about cutting health benefits for pensioners. So I guess retirees. So I guess the mayors really do listen to the suggestion. But that's just one suggestion, I would say. And by the way, the Tribune made even a bigger deal than the Sun-Times. Look at this. Look at that. Headline, Lakefront stays shut. And there's a picture of the people. Wow, there's just people pass over fallen barricades Wednesday while enjoying weather in Lincoln Park near Lake Michigan. So I guess they may be violating the rule anyway. So I'm with Lori in the need to protect Chicagoans from themselves, but I don't know, there may be steps she could take, like blocking access of cars to the lakefront. Think of that one.
And for the second day in a row, no public events scheduled for Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Ben said she was walking at this time yesterday. It's a rainy Thursday. Ben, what do you think the mayor's doing right now?
Listening to this show.
Oh,
and
yeah?
Right now she's going, that Benny J had a good idea. I think I'll implement that. No cars in the lakefront. She'll get on the phone. Block those cars. Yes, boss. So,
all right.
Remember the old days, Dee, with luncheons?
Oh, yeah. She loves luncheons.
Yeah, but we haven't done that one in a while. Well, there haven't been luncheons to go to.
All right, moving on. We have some breaking news involving our former Illinois governor.
I'm a Trumpocrat. The Trumpocrat, that's right.
Oh, my God.
But first, we got to talk about our governor of the present.
Best concert? Yeah, it's Steve Miller Band and the Eagles.
Loves those bands.
I haven't heard that one in a while. That was the commercial, right? Mm-hmm. Like he was, I could still see that commercial. He was walking from his car and somebody was asking him questions. Like it was just a normal conversation.
And hey, what do you know? Another day, another lawsuit against the governor and his 5-phase strategy to reopen Illinois. So far, we've seen 2 politicians file lawsuits against the Illinois governor, including downstate Illinois State Rep Darren Bailey. Governor of the future? I don't know.
Governor candidate.
Maybe.
By the way, I just got to tell you this. Last night at the Zoom meeting, I mentioned Darren Bailey. I think I was defending his constitutional right to file his lawsuit. Man, they started booing the guy. Well, that guy.
Well,
apparently he's not that popular with Democrats.
Oh, surprise, surprise. And hey, get ready to hate him even more, Dems. Darren Bailey has sued J.B. Pritzker again. All right, Darren, we get it. You don't like the governor of the stay-at-home order. A new lawsuit has been filed by State Representative Darren Bailey against Governor Pritzker. This new lawsuit was filed on Wednesday in the Clay County Circuit Court, and according to Bailey's attorney, Thomas DeVore, or DeVore, however you want to pronounce it, it contains new information not used in the first lawsuit. The suit says the new information is a 2001 directive from then Attorney General Jim Ryan, saying that a governor cannot extend an emergency order beyond 30 days without legislative action. This is Bailey's second attempt at filing a lawsuit against Pritzker in the stay-at-home order. During his first attempt, he voluntarily vacated the temporary restraining order that he received that freed him from Pritzker's orders. When Bailey announced that he would request the temporary restraining order be vacated, he said, quote, this new information offers a more complete picture and brings to light additional problems in regard to the procedural and substantive shortcomings of the governor's office and the Board of Health's safeguarding of the civil rights of the citizens of the state. This will strengthen our efforts to ensure the liberty of all Illinoisans. According to the second lawsuit, Bailey believes Pritzker did not have the authority to grant an Illinois emergency under the Illinois Emergency Management Agency Act. Bailey's lawsuit also says that Pritzker is attempting to wield the emergency powers for approximately 81 days. According to the lawsuit, Bailey believes Pritzker did not have the authority to grant an Illinois emergency under the act. Bailey's lawsuit also says Pritzker is attempting to wield the emergency powers once again for approximately 81 days. So go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, I support Darren Bailey's right to go to court, and it's an important issue. Does the governor have this right to declare these emergencies without getting legislative approval? I think he should get a legislative approval. Now, we have a situation in Wisconsin where you have a Democratic governor and a Republican legislature, and the Republican legislature apparently is not willing to negotiate with the governor on how much stay-at-home authority he should institute. So that's a problem for the people up in Wisconsin. In Illinois, we wouldn't have that problem. We have a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House. And so I'm pretty sure, that Michael Madigan's House and Don Harmon's Senate will go along with J.B. Pritzker, and they're going to meet next week. By the way, Rob Mark will be on the show to be talking about that next week. They're going to actually convene. So I do believe they could pass legislation that would extend the stay-at-home, and that would undercut Darren Bailey's lawsuit. Now, I do not know if Governor Pritzker, I'm just thinking this as I'm saying this, will want to ask the legislators to pass that law extending stay-at-home, because maybe he does not want to concede that Darren Bailey has a point. But I do believe that Darren Bailey has a point. And so I believe in a separation of powers, and I think that executives should work with legislators. My problem with the Republicans, as I started the show talking about, and I've talked about it before, is they, in my humble opinion, are not taking this pandemic seriously. They are more concerned with the reelection of Donald Trump, or they're more concerned with giving Democrats sort of like the credibility that Democratic leaders are having in this pandemic. They see those popularity, those numbers, the approval numbers for people like Pritzker and Cuomo and even Tony Evers in Wisconsin going up, and they're worried about that. So they're more worried about the political stakes for their party than they are worried about the livelihood of the people in their states. So that's what scares me about the Republican Party at this moment. By the way, that lawyer that you just alluded to, DeVore, I believe is how you pronounce his name.
That's a DeVore.
A DeVore. There was an article about him in the Tribune, and he is the go-to man for these kinds of lawsuits. He's making quite a living at this.
I wonder who he's going to be voting for when governor time comes up.
Come on, man. He's got that MAGA hat on. He's in 2020, he's going to vote for Donald Trump, I think. And then in 2022, Darren Bailey for governor. But he's the go-to man. I always want to point out Rich Miller's column from this Sunday, if these counties, if Darren Bailey is successful and Clay County opens up, if the Republicans, Wisconsiners are successful and all those bars and taverns open up, there's a liability issue. So there'll be other lawyers. DeVore is not the only lawyer in the state of Illinois. There will be other lawyers who will act, and they will file lawsuits, liability lawsuits, having to do with the consequences of opening up the state too soon. So, politics are very much a part of this game. And even though Darren Bailey's proclaiming a greater principle at stake, it's all about the politics, ladies and gentlemen.
And we have a follow-up on a story that we discussed on Wednesday. On Tuesday, former 2019 Chicago mayoral candidate, entrepreneur, and front check signer Willie Wilson threatened to sue the state of Illinois unless Governor J.B. Pritzker sets aside money to help poor people buy masks to wear in public during the COVID-19 outbreak. He then released a statement saying he'd support 100 churches that he claims want to hold church services this Sunday. Ben, you remember when we talked about that, right?
Oh, yeah.
What were your thoughts on that again?
Well, I don't know where you're going with this one, but
just looking to recap the audience.
Yeah, no, but Willie Wilson has been speaking out of two sides of his mouth on this issue. But now, yes, he's proclaiming on one hand the need to get masks to poor people in the city of Chicago and the dire health consequences that will emerge if we don't have the masks. On the other hand, he's saying we damn the virus. We have to open up churches. So, again, he's running for Senate as an independent candidate, and politics being played here as well. So Willie's a man for all seasons on this one, D. He's managed to stake out territory on both sides of this terrain, and I'll tell you what, that's a skillful politician, all right?
Well, this happened as we were ending the show yesterday. During his Wednesday COVID-19 press conference, J.B. Pritzker said that Willie Wilson would put people's lives at risk by calling for services to continue. We have quotes from Pritzker here. Pritzker said, quote, "It's a ridiculous call on the part of Willie Wilson. The idea of encouraging pastors to bring what amounts to a large population of elderly African Americans to church to get together, not only in defiance of the executive order, but also putting them at significant risk." Think about it. We're talking about senior citizens who, as we know, are a vulnerable population. And add on top of that African American senior citizens, and they are especially vulnerable as well. These double sets of comorbidities, putting those groups of people together in large groups, is an enormous mistake, and I would suggest that Willie Wilson do his homework, that he look at what the science and data says that will do to people. Obviously, I care deeply about, and I assume that he does too.
Yeah, I think that Willie Wilson has achieved in some ways his objective. He got J.B. Pritzker to talk about him. The name Willie Wilson emerged. So, Willie Wilson's making a name for himself on this issue. Again, he's sort of singing from both sides of his mouth. And it is scary, the notion of encouraging people to go to church. Now, I saw the pictures of the church services that took place, what was it, last Sunday? Mm-hmm. There was, it seemed from the photos, there was plenty of social distancing. It looked like more social distancing going on in that church than, let's say, at the Jewel when I go shopping every day or every weekend. And so, I don't want to be an alarmist there, but in general, this is people upholding their liberty, a principle. We talk about a principle at stake, First Amendment protected right to exercise your freedom to practice your religion. That's what they are articulating. A principle is at stake here. And this is a very touchy situation for Democratic politicians because they don't want to look like they're anti-religion. They don't want to look like they're telling people they can't go to church. That's like the third rail of politics to a certain degree. If you know, during campaigns, all politicians, Democrats included, will go to church services on Sunday, right? And they'll join the pastor and they'll proclaim their spirituality. There's a moment, many candidates feel compelled to talk about what religion means to them. Remember they asked Trump what his favorite portion of the Bible was? I don't know if you remember.
Which Corinthians? You liked them both.
The thing about Trump, you gotta give him, Trump's about as religious as I am, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? But somehow or other, he's convinced all the evangelicals in America that he's on their side. The man never goes to church. He's got no religious convictions whatsoever.
I'm not a doctor.
He's not a churchgoer. But anyway, somehow or other, he's convinced the evangelicals that he's their guy, primarily because he's, going back to the other issue, he's told them, I will be with you 100% on abortion. I will do everything I can to take away the rights of women in this country to have choice in the matters of what goes on in their bodies. We will dictate to women that they must give birth, okay? That, forget their liberty, the life of the child in the woman's body is sacred. Now, the life of the body once out of the woman's body is a whole other situation. So, so Donald Trump has somehow or other, even though he is not a churchgoer, won over evangelicals. But like most politicians, he feels compelled to say religion matters in his life. I don't think we've ever had an atheist. I'm trying to think about this, D. An atheist. Well, I know we've never had a self-professed atheist or agnostic as president. I'm just trying to think if there have been any in Illinois politics, elected officials. I want to say that pretty much every politician I know has to talk about how religion matters in his or her life, because that is really a dangerous line to cross. I don't know if an atheist I'll throw this out to Frank out there. Has an atheist ever been elected to anything in the state of Illinois?
Frank!
I don't think that's the case. I can't remember. Certainly not to higher office. Every politician I know feels compelled to talk about how important religion is to him or herself. So that's why Lori Lightfoot and J.B. Pritzker are very wary. Democrats throughout the country. Republicans know they got them on the ropes on this one. This is what a so-called wedge issue, and Republicans are not afraid to, apply the pressure, use that leverage. We talked about how Nancy Pelosi realizes how important leverage is. Republicans do as well. So this is a very troubling issue for Democrats, and Willie Wilson's got J.B. Pritzker on the ropes a little bit here, D.
All right, live stream chat, weigh in with your thoughts. We're going to be reading your comments before this segment ends. Let's end it out with that breaking news that I was talking about. Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich.
It's been a long time since I've shaved with a normal razor, and it takes a little practice. I'm sorry about that. I got to keep dabbing the...
So I have to apologize for his tardiness. He couldn't find where I put his socks this morning.
Lots changed in the nearly 8 years that I've been here.
Good times.
What was that, Dave? February?
Yeah, around then. Yeah. Rod Blagojevich, the disgraced... Oh, I'm sorry. The following comes from Robert Feeder.
Oh.
Ben, have you heard this news about Rod Blagojevich?
No. This is breaking news.
Well, I'm going to need you to start waking up a little earlier here and start eating your Wheaties, all right? Because we have competition. Rod Blagojevich, the disgraced former governor of Illinois, has just been signed on to host a weekly podcast for Cumulus Media News Talk, WLS 890 AM. Starting Wednesday, a podcast with a pretty awful name if you ask me, The Lightning Rod, will be available each week online at WSLAM.com and on iTunes. They're billing it as a showcase for Blagojevich to analyze politics, government, blood on his face. I'm just kidding. With the razor joke there. Trending stories and global issues featuring conversations with politicians, political experts. Ooh, maybe we can get Ben on this show.
Well, that would be hilarious.
Policymakers, celebrities, and influencers about what's worked, what hasn't, and who can make it better. Rumors of media employment have been swirling since the ex-governor was released from prison in February after serving 8 years for corruption.
February. I told you it was February, Dave.
His sentence was commuted by Donald Trump, prompting the one-time Democrat to describe himself, yes, as a Trumpocrat, like the audio we played earlier. Let's see here. Blagojevich said in a statement, quote, "After a long exile, I made it home. It's a brand new day. I'm finally free and fired up to speak my mind, provide insights from the inside, and share what I've learned from the school of hard knocks." On WLS, he'll be joining a growing roster of local podcasts, including ones hosted by morning personality. Who cares about these people? That's our competition.
Wait, time out. I want to hear who the other guys are.
Man Cow.
Okay, that's your guy.
Oh, yeah. You hear me talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
Afternoon personality John Howell, and the duo of Bill Leff, Leff, and Wendy Snyder.
Okay. Well, first of all, that's breaking news. Thank you for breaking that news. We saw this coming. Rod Blagojevich is a natural at this game. I mean, he's really good at this. Rod Blagojevich emerged from 8 years, was it, in federal prison, flew into Chicago from Colorado, walked out on his deck, and it was like no time had passed. I was amazed. First of all, he looked fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, man. Prison's been good to you.
Well, yeah, he's probably working out, push-ups.
He looked great.
Jogging.
And he just immediately was like on top of his game. No time had passed. He was up on the news of the day. It's as though, like, while he was on that airplane flying in from Colorado, he was studying all the issues. He had all his ability to quote literature, which is really remarkable. It's a talent which I don't share, and I kind of envious of him, was on full display as he was quoting poems and making references to great novels that he read. He was at the top of his game, and he'd been in prison for 8 years. So, yes, he will be a force in this media. I believe that eventually he will have maybe his own TV show, maybe a syndicated radio show, and he will be on the right. That's his new home. His new political home will be with Donald Trump. Donald Trump let him out of prison. And at one point, I believe he was supposed to be a key component in Donald Trump's reelection efforts, because Rod Blagojevich was going to assert that somehow or other a vote for Donald Trump would be a vote for criminal justice. There was a very important role that Rod Blagojevich was going to serve for Donald Trump to sort of undercut the Democratic argument that Donald Trump is bad, like in terms of our rights and our liberties. And in particular, Rod Blagojevich was supposed to appeal to black voters because I'm not quite sure why he's supposed to appeal to black voters, but I know that's how Donald Trump's political operatives viewed it. And maybe because Rod Blagojevich could talk about how he had been wrongfully sent to prison and forced to serve all these years behind bars for something that he didn't, for a crime that he didn't really commit. So that was the role that Rod Blagojevich was going to serve. There was the woman that Donald Trump released from Kentucky, whose name is escaping me at the moment. I think it was Alice. She was also going to serve that role. That was the argument that Trump made in his Super Bowl commercial, if you recall, that he was actually more liberal than the Democrats on criminal justice. And I predicted to D that if they went so far, Donald Trump would suddenly be advocating for the legalization of marijuana if he felt that his election rode on that. So that was the role that Rod Blagojevich was going to play for Donald Trump, and now he has access to a podcast, and I believe it's only a matter of time before he has his own nationally syndicated radio show, because the guy is really talented. But I'm just going to say this. When he goes to work for Donald Trump, he's selling out all the values that he supposedly believed in when he ran for office in the first place. And he's doing it. I don't blame him. He's doing it to make a living. He's probably mad at federal prosecutors, and so he shares Trump's dislike for federal prosecutors who go after him or his friends. Donald Trump has that issue. He doesn't have any issue with federal prosecutors going after Clinton's, always saying lock her up about Hillary Clinton. So I'm not saying I blame Rod Blagojevich for moving to the Trump side of the equation, and that's where his bread is buttered. He's probably going to make a very lucrative career out of it. But I'm just going to say the fact is he will be abandoning anything remotely resembling a value that sparked him to go into politics in the first place. That's just a fact. So,
well, maybe he might not. Maybe he'll prove you wrong, Ben. Maybe he'll give some liberal thoughts and ideas.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
What do you think?
Maybe I'll have you and me on the show. Yeah, guys, tell me about
So you're not a doctor, huh?
Yeah, my name's Dennis. Story of my life in Chicago. So what do you
have a Blago imitation, by the way?
No, I haven't heard him enough to give an imitation. I'm Blago. So what do you think of the name of that show? The Lightning Rod.
I mean, I like White Lightning better.
Oh, the other nickname you give me besides Dennis.
But it's Lightning Rod's kind of obvious one.
Lightning
Blago.
Rod.
I think he should use Blago. I don't.
Oh, you think you should go our route, the Rod Blagojevich show?
Yeah.
How do you spell that again?
The Blago Hour or something. I don't know. By the way,
Hour.
One a week.
Yeah.
Blago, I'm just throwing this down at you, man. The doctor and I are up in this attic. How many shows do we drop, D? We go like, how many do we do? I think 7 a week.
Were either of us on The Apprentice?
That's true.
No one knows who the hell we are, dude. That's why we have to do these every day.
Yeah, we work hard. You got to bring it, Blago. I'm just going to mail it in 1 a week, huh? Well, that's the other thing. I gave you all that compliment about how you can quote Kipling and everything at the drop of the hat. 1 a week? Come on, man. Up your game. I just thought about that.
That's what I was going to say. Content. But that's advice for someone who is not really that known.
No, Blago, you're going to be a star.
He's only got to do 1 a week.
I know you're going to, a huge star. You've got the audience. The MAGA hat crowd is going to love you. You will be huge. This is what you were made for. If this COVID virus thing ever passes, you'll probably have your own TV show. But yeah, don't even pretend that any of those values that launched your career have any role in any of this. And by the way, up your game. 1 a week? Come on, D. 1 a week.
Watch, dude. He's going to do 1 a week and kill us with the numbers. Watch.
Well, yeah, I get. Well, it's like that old saying, I could make 1 million tires and sell them for $1 each, or make 1 tire and sell it for $1 million. I think Blago's going the second round. 1 a week, he's going to kick back. Life is good. Just sit back and smoke a doobie and just relax. Got that podcast.
And hey, I don't know who your producer is, but eat shit, pal. How about that, Blago's producer? I'm coming for you. Huh?
Did I hear you swear?
Yeah, we do that now.
Okay.
We say the S word. That's all we say.
No, Blago, 1 a week. Blago, come on, man. That's lazy. 1 a week. It's dawned on me. Dude, we do 7 of these things. Come on, man. All those push-ups.
Yeah, we're idiots. We do 7 of them a week.
Come on, Blago. Up your game. 1 a week? That is lazy. Okay? I thought you were a hardworking guy.
Hey, Blago producer, can you do this?
That's correct.
Huh? Can you do that? Huh? That's correct. Nobody's using that. Yeah. All right, let's go to the live stream chat. Blago has a show coming out, The Lightning Rod. Maybe you guys can give some better suggestions.
Wait, hold on.
The show isn't out yet.
Can I just, I got this text from Frank. I have to.
Hey, Frank.
Breaking news. A guy named Craig Schneider, Village of Rapid City, Board of Trustees, is an atheist humanist. Okay, so Village of Rapid City. You ever been to Rapid City, D? No?
No.
So there's one, all right. He's a trustee. Here are others. Howard Katz, Batavia Township Clerk. I'm kind of proving my point here. These are not like high-ranking officials. He's a humanist. Humanist sounds like ducking and dodging on whether you're an atheist or agnostic.
I'm a humanist.
I'm actually a humanist. And then there is an alderman in Rock Island, Illinois, Dylan Parker. He's also a humanist. The name of the woman, I was right, Alice Marie Johnson. Not bad, D. Huh?
Oh.
Not bad for a guy who spent most of the 70s smoking reefer. Not bad. That brain is still sharp as a tack. So thank you very much, Frank. So there's a few humanists out there, but they're very low ranking, kind of proving my point. Watch, Rod will be talking about how he found God in prison. You know that's coming, okay?
Ooh, finding God with Rod. That could be a
God
name.
with Rod. Rod, now this is going to be a sticking point for you. I think your whole life you've been pro-choice. The crowd you're preaching to is not going to really go for that. So you might have to throw that principle out the window. Just saying, as long as you're throwing principles and values out the window, that would be a good one to get rid of if you want to appeal to the MAGA hat crowd.
All right, live stream chat room. Let's go to you. Thank you so much for tuning into this show, especially the devotees. Most of you here, Jim, Brianna, J. Marie, all you guys are awesome. You guys can, if you listen on the download right now, please join us, the Chicago Sun-Times YouTube channel, and join that YouTube channel. Get in that live stream chat, make fun of Ben, weigh in on whatever we're talking about. We may read your comment if you watch your mouth.
I think those standards are out the window, but yeah.
I mean, the S word, I'll say. All right, after Kim Fox said bullshit on our show, all right, I guess we can.
And it got reelected, and she got reelected.
That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to the live stream chat here. Thank you to everyone who weighed in. First up, let's read. Oh, J. Marie sent us a comment. She was asking you about Lori Lightfoot here. Let me see if I can find it. Well, I know what you voted for Lori Lightfoot for mayor. Twice.
Yep. I stand guilty, J. Marie.
I was going to say, J. Marie was wondering, are you having buyer's remorse yet?
Oh, that's a great question, J. Marie. No. Not having buyer's remorse. And that's because I still think I made the right decision versus Tony Preckwinkle. And so I'm not having buyer's remorse. Now, the first round, I voted for Lori Lightfoot. Who are some of my I can't remember who my choices are anymore. So much time has passed.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. Well, can you?
Jamal Green, I remember.
What is he? I don't think he made the ballot.
Oh.
But anyway, I know Paul Vallis was one of them. Wasn't going to vote for him. Bill Daley was one of them. Wasn't going to vote for him. So no, I don't have buyer's remorse. I have some issues I take with her. I would have voted against her, for instance, on the giving herself more power spending authority. I don't think that was warranted. I don't like the fact that she didn't stand up against the Lincoln Yards TIF deal. I just wrote about this proposed TIF deal down in the South Loop at the old Michael Reese Hospital site. They haven't provided the details yet on what's at stake there, but I'm watching that one closely to see. I was with the teachers on the teacher strike. I thought that was a needless strike provoked to a large degree by Lori Lightfoot's. She's got this animosity towards Stacey Davis Gates, which I don't quite get. So that's kind of my reservations. On the other hand, she's a welcome relief from who we had before. I'll say that just symbolically, if nothing else. And so, yeah, no, I don't have buyer's remorse yet.
Jay Marie has responded to your comment there.
Okay.
Boo!
I guess Jay Marie has buyer's. Well, she doesn't have buyer's remorse. She probably didn't vote. Don't have buyer's remorse yet. Give me some time, Jay Marie. Maybe I'll have them in a few months.
Kyle has a good suggestion for a show name for Rod Blagojevich's new podcast coming to WLS. Bring it. We're gonna kill you in the numbers. All right. Kyle's suggestion is.
I don't know about that team.
I'm sarcasm at its finest.
Yeah, I know.
Dumb as a rod. The ramblings of a delusional idiot.
It's actually pretty good.
All right. Brianna says, wait, one show a week? That lazy MRFer?
Right. I'm with you, hon. What a... God dang, that's lazy. Come on. One show a week? That's what you're going to do? Oh, my God. Dee and I are working around the clock, okay? One show a week. I'm just going to do the one show and kick back. Did he do something? You was like knitting or something?
He was making masks.
Making masks. You do the show and then go make masks? That one show a week is not cutting it with me, man. I thought you were a hardworking guy.
Let's see here. Brianna says, Blago's show will probably have an Alex Jones feel.
Yes.
This cat needs money.
Yes. By the way, folks, you don't know, Dennis has a great Alex Jones person. He did this whole riff the other day while we were waiting for Craig Hodges. I think that's when we were waiting for Craig to get to us. Remember that, D? And you were doing this Alex Jones
thing? It was just a quick one. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the documents. Damn you, China! We'll be right back.
No, but there was one about eating his neighbor.
Oh, yeah. That was, I'm sure, I don't know if you guys heard that or not. Yeah, there's a video of Alex Jones talking about, because, he's on lockdown, and he's like, I thought about eating my neighbor. I saw it. I'll eat his ass. Like, you'll eat his ass. Interesting.
See, hey, Rod, man, that's your competition. Now, if Rod can figure a way to get on the Alex Jones show, he's golden.
Oh, my God. Alex Jones will throw him on. No problem.
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a guy fresh out of jail. Damn you, China. All right, let's see here. Jay Marie says, I don't think Rod is going to be campaigning for Trump like that. Ben said that when he was I can't read here. Ben said that when he was released, and it remains to be seen. I love Ben, but I disagree. I agree with that, with what Rod's lawyer said. We had Leonard Goodman.
Oh, Leonard Goodman. Yeah, Leonard and I had a bit of debate on that one. Well, listen, the campaign hasn't quite gone the way it's supposed to go because of obviously the pandemic. And I wasn't the only one saying that, Jay Marie. There were quite a few people saying that at the time, that was going to be a Donald Trump strategy. And things have changed because of the pandemic. We'll see what happens in the coming months.
All right. Okay. Triple J Johnny Joe says, Dennis, take off your shirt to do the Alex Jones. I'm not doing that. Can't even see us. Just, okay, my shirt's off. Oh, damn China. There you go. Because you can't see it.
Damn China. I'm going to eat my neighbor.
I'm going to eat his ass. Oh, wow. Interesting choice of words there. All right. And we got one more comment that we're going to read. Who was it from? Well, Jay Marie, thanks for weighing in. We always appreciate you. It's from, hold on. Yeah, I think we're done. All right, everybody. Thanks
get to our interview anyway.
Thanks for weighing in. More Ben Joravsky Show on the way. Lisa Solomon of the Chicago Reader. She joins us with a cannabis conversation, and every time she has a special guest, and we talk all things legal cannabis in the state of Illinois and beyond. So don't go anywhere, especially all you potheads. The Ben Joravsky Show will be right back. We are live from Ben's attic.
Correct. That's correct. Correct.
Give it all away to the corporate goons.
Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show, live from Ben's attic.
Yes, indeed. Time for another cannabis conversation. Elisa Solomon, are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
All right, very good.
Good to join you, Ben.
Yeah, it's here we are in the attic. A cannabis conversation, regular on the show, about twice a month. Lisa helps bring on a guest to talk about some of the issues in the cannabis industry. And actually, the guest that we have today is an old friend of the show. He's been on before, back in February, in the old days when we were still in a studio at the Sun-Times building. We had a great discussion with our guest. I'm going to let you introduce Nobert, Lisa, and then we're going to take the deep dive and talk about the issues. Particularly the issue I really want to talk about is the notion of using African Americans as fronts to get licenses. This is an old game in the city of Chicago. Nobert Pickett said, may not realize this because he's just coming to Chicago. But let me tell you, this is an old game in the city. I've been seeing it for a long time. So Lisa, introduce our guest.
All right, so we've got Nobert Pickett on with us today. I'm just going to give a very brief introduction, then I'm going to turn it over to Nobert to share more about himself with you. So Nobert has lived many lives so far, with many yet still to come, from basketball star to many years in Hollywood as a casting director and producer, to cannabis advocate, and to the founder of the first solely Black-owned dispensary in D.C. So Nobert, I'm going to let you share a little bit more about yourself with our listeners, and then I know Ben's anxious to get to that very important topic, which is not understood well enough by a lot of people.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Ben and Lisa. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's good to be here. And Ben, your background's a lot different from the last time I saw you.
Yes. The last time you were actually in the studio, and I was recalling as I was talking, maybe I was talking to you about it, or maybe it was, I can't remember, but you were there. You had two associates there from Chicago. I think Doris Davenport was in there, and Dennis and I. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 6 people in that little room, and you and I were mainly the 2 people conversing. But think about that, Nobert, how much time has changed. 6 people in that little room. Now here I am in my attic doing this show, and you're at home in Washington doing this. We're all social distancing. So much has changed, obviously, since that February show.
Yes, it has. And hopefully next time you see me, you won't be afraid of me. I can give you a big hug.
Yeah, give you a big hug. Yeah, right.
Yes. I'm actually in my vault here at the dispensary doing this interview right now, which is my comfort zone. I'm in the belly of the beast.
In the belly of the beast. It sounds pretty good. So we're going to keep the video going here because you sound really good. Sometimes when you do these video Zooms, it doesn't sound that well. But I'm seeing that Cannabis shirt. I want one. That's what I was saying to you. I want the shirt. All right, Nobert, it's been a while since you've been on the show. Take a moment to just reintroduce yourself. You have a fascinating backstory, as like Lisa was alluding to, that sort of like the road that led you to realizations about the importance of cannabis. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I was an athlete. I was a college basketball player. I was one of the top players in the country coming out of high school. I ended up going and playing at Boston University for Mike Jarvis. And then was inducted in the New England Basketball Hall of Fame back in 2015. From there, I went on to work in pro sports, worked for the Washington Wizards and the Bullets before they were the Wizards, the Washington Capitals, the Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens, and basically in CBS Sports, basically doing marketing for those teams and for that network. From there, I went on to Hollywood to produce film and television. I was started as a casting director for Jimmy Kimmel Live. Did that 4 years before I went off to produce other shows like Punk, Jackass 2, the movie. I actually did casting for those, but I became vice president head of production for High Point Studios out in Hollywood. At that time, I was actually hit in a car accident that left me permanently disabled. It was a long road back. I was an athlete, so I was running 5 miles a day before the accident. It was a long road back. It took me about 4 years to get back on my feet. Had about 18 procedures, 5 major spinal procedures where I had disc missing, where multiple fusions, and I was left pretty much damaged. I was broken in a car accident. put back together incorrectly, broken again, and then put back together again. So that's pretty much the story of my spine. It was a long road back. I actually was on many different medications. I was on 5 different opioids, and I wasn't used to that because I don't drink alcohol and I just don't do drugs. And so, you know, it was funny because I'd go to see my pain management doctor once a month, and I'd see the same patients there, and I would say, "Hey, how you doing with this?" And they would say, "You know, we're making it. I just, you know, go at home and take my pain pill and drink a beer." And I didn't really find that as a way to live the rest of my life. So I asked my doctor, what's the best way for me to kind of, you know, put a curve on these opioids? What's the best way to kick and get off them? And he said, you know, cannabis. A lot of people have had huge success with cannabis. I think you should try it. They wrote me a prescription. I tried it, and slowly I weaned myself off of all of that medication, which wasn't easy. And the thing is that what people don't understand about that medication, it's only meant to work temporarily. It's meant to work for anywhere from 4 to 6 months. And then after that, what ends up happening is it starts creating the symptoms it's meant to decrease. And so those symptoms increase. So you end up taking more medication, and then you get hooked. And that's when the addiction sets in. So that wasn't acceptable. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Just briefly, before you go further, create the symptoms it's supposed to battle. What are you talking about?
So if you're having pain, and you say you take Norco or Vicodin, so what it does is it blocks the transmission to the brain. So after a while, your body gets used to that and adapts. So then you have to actually take more and more. So you end up increasing more pain, even though you're not experiencing more pain. And so then you feel like you have to take more medication, you up the dosage, and then you get more and more hooked. They're all very addictive. Opioids are very addictive pills. I mean, I wish they had never created them. I wish doctors didn't prescribe them as much. I think all pain starts in the mind. And as soon as you can get over that, I think you can go on and have a better quality of life.
Okay, and I've got a question. You weaned yourself off of them. Were the doctors at that point able to be of any help and give you any guidance as to how to do that?
No, luckily, I was an athlete, so I ran a lot. So, you know, we experienced this runner's high, which is a natural high, that's released from the body. And so the more I was able to transition from the drugs, the more I was feeling, the more I could exercise. And when I mean exercise, I mean, I couldn't obviously run or anything with spinal condition, but I could walk. That gets everything going. Just the walking, you know, 20 minutes. I started phone pole to phone pole, block to block, then blocks to block, and then I got up to miles. And now I'm able to actually run again. I run 4 miles a day. It's not really the smartest thing I should be doing, but I feel like my muscles are strong and they hold up the bones, and so I can take it. And I'll stop once I can't do it anymore.
You said all pain starts in the mind. Talk about that.
Yep. Well, that's where it begins. I mean, in order for you to understand that you're in pain, your mind has to tell you you're in pain. So when the pain pills weren't working for me, this is where I learned this, where the pain pills weren't working for me, they talked about putting a electrical stent on my spine. What the stent would do, it would block the transmission of pain going to my mind. Therefore, I would never know I was in pain anyway. So if you block that transmission, then you're not experiencing any mind. You can block it out. I mean, you see martial artists and everything go in pain, block it out, and that's because they have mind control over themselves.
All right, so we get back to the transition. So to how you discovered the cannabis industry from this.
So I started slowly with flower, and I found my mood. When they say attitude adjustment, it really is an attitude adjustment. And I found my mood swing to be tremendous. I suffer from PTSD. I suffer from depression. And the cannabis really kind of puts me in a happy space. And so it kind of makes me forget how miserable I'm feeling. And it's actually instantaneous. As soon as you actually smoke, whereas pills, it takes probably about 30 minutes to absorb and kick in. Cannabis, if you smoke, it obviously kicks in immediately. And if you consume an edible, it takes a little bit of time. If you do a tincture that's a concentrate, it actually hits you much quicker. So I started the flower, moved on to tinctures, which I would put in my tea or beverage. And what I experienced was huge relief, a better attitude, less pain, a better quality of life, and very little, and when I say this, I mean this, very little side effects. And so I found it a way to go. It didn't hurt my performance running. It didn't hurt my performance when I worked out. When they say stoners don't get anything done, I don't consider myself a stoner. I'm a patient first, but we do get stuff done. We get a lot of stuff done. So there's a lot of myths around about this plant.
Right. And for those who don't know what a tincture is, do you just want to give a brief description so they understand
Sure.
that?
A tincture is a concentrate that's been broken down from the plant. So we basically extracted all the properties from the plant and put it in a liquid form. And it should be in a neighborhood of anywhere from 97 to 99% pure THC. And you just put those drops into a beverage, like just one tincture, and that'll actually set you straight, and then you should have a good relief of pain for about 4 or 5 hours. And it's really a good way to medicate for people that don't like consuming flower. Now me personally, I prefer flower over concentrates over a tincture because when you extract all the goodies out of all the ingredients out of the flower, you're not actually getting everything. So for me, when I smoke the flower, I'm getting all the ingredients. When I'm getting the tinctures or the concentrate, I'm getting most of it, but not all of it. So there's some things you're missing in a concentrate.
Well, I know people.
Right, and I know where we want to go with this conversation, but I just want to quickly point something out that cannabis currently, when used as a medicine, is something that the patient needs to take control of themselves, because there are some physicians and pharmacists and other specialists available now that can guide you, but you're really responding to how your body reacts. Like Norbert, you were saying, when you inhale, you get the relief instantly. And so you get a sense of how much you need to stop the pain. And people really can monitor their own health and symptoms. So this is something that's posing a unique challenge to the medical community in terms of embracing cannabis as a medicine.
That's a great point, Lisa. And just to build on that, I would like to tell anyone who's a first-time user or patient that's thinking about choosing cannabis as a way to medicate, if you do an edible, chocolate or something like that, just break off a little bit at a time. Wait, see how your body reacts to that, and that'll tell you whether the next time you take your dosage, whether you should take more or less. But I hear a lot of stories about people taking too much because they felt like it didn't kick in right away, and then an hour after it kicks in, they're like, "Oh wow, I'm on the moon," and that's because they didn't wait. They weren't familiar with the edible, and they didn't wait for it to kick in to experience how it was going to affect them. So I would, like I said, I would warn everybody or let them know that just take a little bit at a time. Don't go crazy at first.
All right. So Norbert, you
right.
have. Go
Always
ahead.
Good advice.
So you.
I said always good advice. Start low and stay slow.
What was that? What did you say, Lisa? What did you say?
Start low, stay slow.
I'm gonna put that on a T-shirt.
Start low, stay slow.
Start low, stay slow. In cannabis, as in life. All right, now Norbert, you operate a dispensary in Washington D.C. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I operate a dispensary called the name is DC Holistic Wellness. The DBA is called Cannabis. We've been open since last August of 2019. We've had some pretty good outreach. We've had a lot of patients come in the door, and we offer everything there is that we can offer within the district: concentrates, flower, edibles, whatever we can offer, we do that. And we're located in the northeast part of the city. It's a predominantly black neighborhood. It's in Ward 7, and coincidentally enough, my ward is the hardest hit ward with COVID-19 right now in the city. DC is a hot spot, and there's no health care over here in Ward 7 and Ward 8. The patients are going to the other side of the city to get help, and there's no testing labs over here. We're in bad shape, and we're hoping that the city will do something to help this community.
No testing in the ward of Washington. I don't know much about Washington, but I know Chicago really well. There's the area with the highest concentration of COVID patients has no testing currently anywhere near it in that area.
They have one in the next ward, but no. My building that my dispensary is located in. I own it. I have about 5,000 square foot this open space next door to put an urgent care and a primary care for the community. I actually went to the community when I bought the building and asked what they needed. They needed two things: a grocery store, which they have, but not many, and they needed an urgent care, primary care, which they do not have, and they haven't had. And so I've been working closely with the city to I've been jumping up and down about this for years, and I seem to haven't gone anywhere with it, unfortunately. And now with COVID here, we're left with no testing and no health care for this community of 85,000 people.
That's outrageous.
Really sad.
Yeah, that is really sad. Come on, DC, you can do better than that. All right, now the last time you were in Chicago, you were talking about opening up an operation in the city of Chicago or in the state of Illinois. How's that going?
I think we turned in a really strong application. I know that we heard recently from the state they're going to postpone it. They were supposed to announce it, I think, last week or May 5th. They're going to postpone it indefinitely. We don't know. Hopefully, we should maybe hear something, in June or July. But when we saw that there was a new round to rectify what happened in the last round for social equity applicants, we figured that, hey, we're a Black-owned business. We're the only Black-owned dispensary in the district. Maybe some people say we're the only in the country that's solely Black-owned, owns the building. And I figured that we'd apply and go ahead and take our model that we created in D.C. in this predominantly Black neighborhood. We hired from within the neighborhood, and we would go to Chicago and hopefully create the same kind of model where we hire from within the community. We train them, give Black and brown people and women an opportunity they wouldn't have had before. And we weren't necessarily looking for college graduates. We were looking for people that wanted to work hard, that seemed like they had a good head on their shoulders, and we wanted to give them opportunity. So we could have probably hired other people where we didn't have to train as much, but that wasn't our model. We wanted to bring in some other people and give them an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the
they wouldn't have had.
They wouldn't have had. So it makes sense, obviously. And one of the stories that's been breaking here in the city is the whole issue. What I alluded to it at the outset: front operations. And Nobert, I don't know if you follow Chicago politics, but this is an age-old story in the city of Chicago. I was telling you this before we went on the air. I remember this scams going back to the 80s and the 90s, particularly in the 90s, where you would have, it could be a business owned by a man, but they would put a woman at the front, like a front, to get a contract that is supposed to be for women-owned businesses. And then similarly, you have contracts that are supposed to go to minority-owned companies, African-American-owned companies. They put a Black guy up at the front, and it was a white guy actually running the business. This is an old story in the city of Chicago, Norbert. I could tell you this. People have gone to jail over this, various front scams. Do you have a fear that something similar is happening in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois right now with front operations?
I absolutely do. I've been going out there regularly before COVID, and what I saw were, when Connie and Cliff, there were two people that were on the show with us. When we went to turn in our applications, there were white multi-state operators, with hedge fund financing. They were turning in 30 and 40 applications with Black people as fronts, whether it was a veteran. I mean, I sat down with one alderwoman, and she told me that a multi-state operator brought a veteran to her that she actually knew and said that he was going to run a dispensary, and she couldn't believe it. She almost fell out of her seat. She said, he's a nice guy. I love the guy. The guy's been in, unfortunately, he's been in war, and he's in no position, nor does he have the qualifications to run a dispensary. And unfortunately, for the people that are being used as fronts, they wouldn't normally have this opportunity, so they're taking the money. And so this has created a huge racial disparity. And this not just happened in Illinois. This has happened in Maryland. This has happened in Washington, D.C. This is the same story, but it happens in different places. And we have to kind of fix this. The first round, because there were no black winners and all white multi-state operators won in the first round. The new round, which we applied in, that was basically put there to rectify the first round. This was put here for social equity applicants to rectify the racial inequities that happened in the initial round. There are lots of people that pretend to be black-owned and operate in finance, but that's a ruse. I know because I'm one of the very few. And as we move forward, we don't want these white multi-state operators to continue this problem. They have all the resources. They have attorneys. They have relationships. They have application writers. They have hedge fund financing. All that to blow everybody out of the water. We don't want to let them have them pull the wool over our eyes. This round was an opportunity for black and brown people to get into this industry that were historically have been held out. And I feel like the state of Illinois, they should put a premium on providing opportunities for qualified black-owned and operated and finance applicants. And the way I kind of look at this, if they turn us down, then these licenses to white multi-state operators, then I don't think and they give it to them, I don't think the state was really that serious to begin with. And some states have gone in that direction. But like I said, the standard has been to let white multi-state operators pretend to be black, and that's not good enough. We call that a straw man, okay? And we want to see, black managers all the way down to black breeders. We just don't want to put a couple black faces out there and then the owners and management and everybody else behind them is white. We don't want to do that. And I kind of, this might be controversial or not. I think to give these licenses to black and brown people would not be discrimination because white people have all the licenses right now. They get a head start on us, So that's the way I kind of look at this.
Well,
right. And there's another area of concern. It's my understanding that there is not currently a way to prevent someone who gets a minority and equity license isn't able to get the $1.5 million or so needed to actually get the business up and running from selling their license at any price to whomever wants it. So that's another concern, that even some of the people that get the licenses, they may not stay in the hands in which they were intended to be. And having spoken with some of the legislators who wrote this bill, they said that's something that they wanted to get in place. They hope to get something in place before it's too late, but I'm not sure what's happening with that.
I think he's got a phone call there, Norbert. Suddenly breaking the phone call. Here he comes.
I'm getting it out of my office.
Yeah. Yeah. So, address what Lisa said, Norbert.
Lisa, can you go ahead and repeat that? I'm sorry, the phone kind of rung over you. My apologies.
That's all right. It's the issue that the legislators were unable to get something in the first version of this bill that would protect the equity licenses from being quickly sold and turned over to non-equity persons of interest, whether it's MSOs or someone else. That I think their intention was to try to get something added in, but I don't think that has happened because someone might acquire a license who is truly an equity applicant, but may not be able to come up with that extra $1.5 or $2 million needed to get the business running.
Right. And unfortunately, there's nothing they can do about that. I think what I got to say, though, I got to give the state of Illinois credit. They actually did something very interesting that no other state has done. They actually put money aside for social equity applicants in case they win. Now, it's not much. I mean, I think it's in the neighborhood of $50,000 or $60,000, and let me tell you, no state's ever done that before. It's not much money, but that being said, it is something that it's trying to do. But yeah, you need around $1.25, $1.5 million to get this thing up and running before it starts sustaining itself. And if you're a social equity applicant and you don't have any financial backing, to be honest with you, Lisa, I don't know how you even get a license, because chances are you might not have cannabis experience with that. So I think it should really focus on qualified black and brown people who are operated and financed by themselves. That's what the focus needs to be on. I don't think you control anybody selling a license, unfortunately. That's what happens. They get it, and then they're going to turn around and sell it to a multi-state operator.
You just part of the process to get an application's not free. How much did you tell me it cost for an application?
It's $2,500. Yeah, it's $2,500. So imagine some of these multi-state operators are turning in 30 and 40 applications. They think this is the lottery. And what I find is odd is that I've watched this since I've applied. I've watched certain states and I watched the applications round. It seems like any state that has social equity involved in it, or some type of disadvantaged section where you gain points, the white multi-state operators, they actually go in harder with applications. They submit more in hopes that they're going to get one of them.
Right. He referenced the lottery, and the way the state is doing it is that everyone who gets all the points on their license, or a certain number of points, goes into the lottery to select the winners. And that's where the multi-state operators, the MSOs, have a huge advantage, since they have the resources, the financial and human resources, to submit 30 or 40 applications.
Man.
So I'd like to think the state is going to do something to even that out. And I think another equity piece here in Illinois, Norbert, you may be more clear on this than I am, is that you can get your equity points by having a plan to employ a majority of workers that are black or brown skinned. So they may not even be the owners, but they'll just be employees.
That is correct. Or a veteran as well.
Right. So the ownership stake could still be primarily or completely white, or an MSO, but their plan could be to hire people of color, and that's still not evening it out.
Well, it doesn't fix the inequity. I mean, we need black owners, not black workers. So,
right, and people that really see the importance of rebuilding their communities, or communities similar to the ones in which they grew up. Not to say the MSOs are not wanting to do some programs, but everything I've seen is that when it's someone from that community that is the one making the changes or setting up the team to make the changes, it's actually so much more what the community needs than what an outsider might think they need.
This is true. So, for example, that's great point you bring up, Lisa. So, my building is called an MU3. It's a mixed-use building. It's commercial and residential. I'm basically in a residential neighborhood. The multi-state operators like to go downtown and prime real estate. I had to apply in Ward 7. I'm in a neighborhood, and it's in the east end of the city that's notoriously been neglected. And as I explained, there's very few grocery stores and it's a medical desert. So on my block, I've been the anchor to stimulate new businesses coming in. So I was the first one. And then a State Farm insurance office bought the building next door and opened up a State Farm office. We had a fish fry place come down 3 doors from me, and we had another restaurant opening between me and the fish fry. And so now there's been economic growth on this block, because if anybody knows anything about a dispensary versus, and this used to be an old liquor store, keep in mind. So just to compare a dispensary with a liquor store, when a liquor store comes into a community, the crime rate goes up and the property value goes down. When a dispensary comes into a community, the crime rate goes down because of all the security, and the property value goes up. Mm-hmm. And so that's the kind of impact a dispensary can have in the community. Now, if you put that into a black community in Southside Chicago, that's going to help drive a whole bunch of other businesses to that block if there were none existing before.
Norbert, do you have an idea if you got a license to operate in Chicago where you would set up shop?
I'd like to. Well, one of the places where I think was really neat, and I had a good chance to sit and talk with Senator Peters, was Hyde Park. I really like that neighborhood, and then also where Connie and Cliff are located on the south side, where he owns his record store, and that predominantly black community would be a good place as well. I personally like to go into the black community and help build it up. I'm not looking to go in a community that's already established and blend in. I'm looking to go to a black community, be an anchor, hopefully stimulate some economic growth. Hopefully we do some other things on that block as well, whether it's a restaurant or something, and just grow that neighborhood. That's where your stripes are earned, I feel.
And when will the state announce when the next licenses will go out? I can't remember. Did they set a date?
No, they said indefinitely, but I'm guessing June or July.
June or July, yeah. Again, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah, so Lord knows. Just the notion of economic development and stimulating the economy at this point, it's almost as far-fetched as remembering back to when there were 6 of us sitting in that little room. You know what I'm saying, Norbert? I know we will emerge from this pandemic at some point, but it's hard to imagine it now. Look, this issue, Norbert, I know you heard me on this because I just sound off on this, but like the fundamental reason I think we had to legalize marijuana was because it was so unfair that black people were being arrested and sent to jail for something that white people were doing all the time. And now when I see they legalize it and inequities continue, I'm like, come on, society. Get it right at least once. That's my frustration with this, Norbert.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about it, Ben. It goes all the way back to Birth of a Nation, depicting black people as smoking weed and eating watermelon and chasing white women, excuse me, and committing crimes. They showed us being violent. It all comes back to that. So all the criminalization about cannabis it's all racial. It has been for a long time. And you're right. We need to change this. And it all comes with PR. It comes with education. And because let me tell you something, weed doesn't discriminate. There are just as many white people smoking cannabis as there are black.
Norbert, I'm telling you right now, I've been around white people my whole life. I didn't need you to tell me that. I knew that long ago. I've spent my life around white people. It's a beautiful plant. Yeah, and they love their reefer, okay? They may have been hiding that fact when it was illegal and not taking a stand on the issue, but they were loving it nonetheless. Norbert, we're almost out of time. Before I let you go, you're a hoopster. You played the game. You worked in the business. Got to ask you your thoughts on The Last Dance. I'm obsessed with that. We're going to have Craig Hodges on in a little while to talk about it. So, you probably look at it differently. You're a Washington Wizards fan. Man, that's a struggle. So, what's your reaction been to The Last Dance?
Okay, so let's back up. It's like, I'm not a Wizards fan. I actually worked for them. I'm from Boston. I'm a Celtics fan, first and foremost.
Oh, that's even worse. I can't stand the Celtics. Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of people can't. But so I was working for the Washington Bullets when we became the Washington Wizards. And we actually lost to the Bulls in the first round in 97. Okay, we got swept by 3. And actually the games were a lot closer than you thought. I think the biggest spread was maybe 4 or 5 points. We had a pretty good team. We had Rod Strickland, Juwan Howard, Chris Webber, Calbert Chaney, and then, you had the Bulls. And it was a good battle. The thing about it is there were always whispers, like when I would talk to people in the Bulls organization or other things, there were always whispers about Jerry Krause and how bad he was. And we heard it, but I didn't realize how severe it was until I actually watched it. And he was the ire of Jordan through the whole thing. And I understand how they feel. How can this guy, this little baseball scout, come over to them and then break up with probably one of the greatest basketball teams of all time? He brought his personal character traits into the workplace and killed probably one of the greatest teams ever. The saddest part about this whole thing is that I think the Bulls were only half of the salary cap. Like they had they didn't utilize half of the salary cap, but they claimed they couldn't pay Scottie Pippen. Like that's the whole story is unbelievable. And the fact that Reinsdorf told him not to sign the deal in the first place puzzles me even more, and they went ahead and did it.
Which part puzzles you, that Reinsdorf told him not to sign it, or that Scottie signed it? See,
well, both.
Yeah, yeah. No, the Bulls. I could go on and on about this, the breakup of the Chicago Bulls, but the reality is, Norbert, a lot of money. Ownership would have had to kick a lot of money to players as their careers were going on the downside. Now, you played the game, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. When a player first signs his contract, the owner is the beneficiary in a large degree because that player is generally underpaid as his skills rise. And then the player hopes that there's enough time left in his career that he can maximize his years on the court. Scottie signed that long contract that consumed his prime time in the NBA. Suddenly he was turning around and asking the NBA owners to give him a contract when he was on the downside. You get what? So his leverage was gone, and that's why it didn't make any sense for Scottie to sign that contract when he signed it. But you're right. They did not rip up. They did not say, you know what, Scottie, you've been a very valuable member of this team. We really appreciate you. We realize you made a foolish decision to sign this contract, so we're going to do the right thing and rip it. I don't know if that ever exists in business. You ever heard of anybody doing that in business, Norbert, where someone has an advantage with a contract and they rip it up and they give the other party a better deal? Has that ever happened in the history of man?
Never, especially coming from a sports owner too.
Yeah. And you were in
Never.
Hollywood. Has it ever happened in Hollywood?
But, no. It wouldn't.
Yeah.
So if I was Scottie, I'd probably be mad at his agent. I don't know who his agent was back then. If he was represented by David Falk, I know David Falk wouldn't have allowed him.
No, he was not represented by David Falk.
Not in a million years,
Yeah.
David Falk wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
David's a smart guy. So.
Yeah, that's Michael Jordan.
But yeah, I think that all the other stuff, punching Will Purdue, Steve.
Oh, I think we lost Norbert there. That happens with the transition with the Zoomer. Zoomer's not as great as people say it is. Anyway, thank you very much, Norbert. And we're going to get you back on the show real soon. Did we lose Lisa as well?
Yep, both
All
gone.
Right, okay, well, life goes on. We'll get Norbert back on real soon, and that about time to shut down the show anyway, D. So I want to thank Norbert, I want to thank Lisa, and of course I want to thank Dennis. You got any updates, D?
You were just talking about The Last Dance. We're going to be talking with Craig Hodges. We're going to try and get him on yesterday. Don't know what happened. Glass half full. We're going to talk with him today. We're going to get that up by 7 o'clock tonight, so be on the lookout for that.
Yep, got my fingers crossed and everything. All right, thank you very much, Dr. D. I want to thank Norbert. I want to thank Lisa. And the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois, back home in Alton, they call him Dennis. They don't call him White Lightning.
Hey, there we go. I might be able to get a job now.
Yeah, they call him Dennis.
Holy cow.
Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everybody.
We will shut you down, we will cite you, and if we need to, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail.
It's been a long time since I've shaved with a normal razor, and it It takes a little practice. I'm sorry about that. I got to keep dabbing the...
So I have to apologize for his tardiness. He couldn't find where I put his socks this morning.
Lots changed in the nearly 8 years that I've been here.
Let's begin with phase one. Best concert? Yeah, it's Steve Miller Band and the Eagles.
That's correct.